7 days, 1 week, the S25 Ultra. I didn't think it would have this much of a hold on me as much as I anticipated. I was very unimpressed kind of going into this. I was excited to try something new, but it just didn't hold me. It didn't do much. It didn't hold me. Tempering expectations here. It is fantastic for what I came from. Comparing my Sony Xperia 1 Mark V, I am blown away by the screen. It's a little too wide for what I'm comfortable holding and putting in and out of my pocket, but it is so bright. It's almost 2.5 times brighter. If I'm outside, I can actually see every detail. The screen itself is going to be the biggest thing that I really noticed a difference with. I did play a couple games on it. I didn't notice a whole lot really different in terms of performance, smoothness. It was the same as my Sony. The games that I'm playing, my everyday apps, some of these apps, man, some of these developers need to get on their game. I feel super far behind, playing a game like Pokemon Go with its, potentially super simple graphics. And it's like, it doesn't take a whole lot. I could run that on like a 10-year-old phone if I really wanted to. I wasn't heavily impressed, at least in terms of like how the specs ended up dealing with me, especially considering the price of $1,300. It didn't feel like $1,300 of performance. But things I really liked about this phone. I already mentioned the display. Not only just resolution, 1440p on a phone of this size is pretty great. It's pretty pixel dense. It's the quality of the colors and the brightness is the make or break for me. Though 5,000 milliamp hour over a day. There were many occasions where I went to bed and I did not plug this in. It was amazing to have something that is reliable battery, and if I needed it to last longer, then I could always just turn down the brightness. I could turn on the resolution. There's a lot of things you can do for battery saving in terms of like settings, modes, things like that could have set it at if I needed to, but I did not. It was pretty spectacular. Second biggest thing I was very, very impressed on is the camera, especially for photos. 200 megapixel main camera. That's nuts. For something this small, I heavily enjoyed it. I also enjoyed that they actually have the normal camera app. A lot of good settings in the normal camera app. Actually, even like AI adjustments. You can like draw little photos into the actual picture. I'm terrible at drawing, so results may vary. It was very, very fun and it was really unique to do. It's nice that they give you an actual extra camera app. You have like the Expert Raw app that you can use, giving you way more settings and adjustability like how it does on the Samsung. So I'm able to really dial it in of what I want to get pictures of. The post-processing of these images, it tries very hard. It tries, in my opinion, a little too hard. I like just raw photos. I like just seeing how the camera picks it up. This one does a lot of adjustment for those photos. It makes it look great. It makes it look stupidly dynamic, but it is heavily processed. It's not my style of photo necessarily. I have a fantastic photo actually of my cat that I took in a very heavily yellow room, and the white balance really just took over and made it look neutral, at least for the most part. Comfortable body for me to take the photos on. Something I was not terribly too impressed was the actual video. The actual like color profile of the camera, I just really preferred the actual like neutral tone and how everything is represented on the Sony in terms of video. Fast 5G connection, so taking advantage of full internet bandwidth. I didn't notice a whole lot personally, at least from my Sony to this phone. It is a newer cellular antenna. It's supposed to get ridiculously fast 5G speeds. The only thing I noticed was the bottom line being better, where my Sony would just drop connection, it wouldn't load anything, maybe even going in between towers. With the Samsung, I didn't get any of that. The bottom line was better, which was a nice change of pace for once. I didn't have to worry about a phone call dropping, or if I'm playing music, it just stops and I'm sitting in silence in my car waiting for the light to turn green to get to a better cell spot. I definitely think something to highlight in terms of this whole experience is the new Android 15 UI system that they have. It's very different from years ago when I had my Note 10. It's very, very easy and it's stupidly simple. I can still have all the customization I want with how the apps are set up, with the size, with the widgets, with where everything is, having things on home, having things in the sub menus. That's what makes Android Android. But it is a super simplified version. So if you don't like that, if you like what Android had to offer in terms of complexities of UI, you might have a lot of settings you got to adjust first. For everyone else, including me, this is fantastic. This is the greatest thing that Android probably could have done that wasn't going towards a iOS type UI beat. That's about all I have to say for things I enjoyed about the phone. There's nothing terrible about this phone. Everything on this phone, it's awesome. But there's some things I was very unimpressed, and or some things that there's just nothing going on, I guess, It's the S Pen, for example. I didn't use this S Pen one time. in the week that I had this thing. I pulled this thing out a few days later and it gave me the actual UI that I'm opening this for the first time and try to give me a tutorial. It kind of just sits in the phone and doesn't really do a whole lot. I don't like how wide this phone is in terms of physical dimension wise. I prefer slimmer phones, at least in terms of slimmer width. It's so much easier to handle, take in and out of my pocket. I don't mind the height, and I don't actually even mind the thickness of the phone either. It is mainly actually just how wide the phone is. I have decent sized hands. I do not have small hands, and yet there are still times where I have to stress to get to the other side of the phone. That was not terribly too comfortable. At the end of my tangent here, it's a very safe phone. It's fine. It's not great. It's just safe. It's just safe. It's episode 7 in Star Wars safe. It's rehashing the same story again safe. Samsung had such a great opportunity here to go above and beyond, especially in the flagship phone market, that other companies, Nothing, Huawei, OnePlus, they're catching up. They're catching up on their flagships. Those companies used to only be under certain price points for a reason. If you potentially upgrade every year, maybe even every 2 years, if you like the latest and greatest, sure, this is the only option you really have. But everyone else enjoying maybe their S24, enjoying their current Pixel 7s, enjoying their Sonys, enjoying their whatever phone they have, I can't recommend it. I can't. It would be, in my opinion, a waste. It would be making your phone that works perfectly fine, that has very similar features, e-waste. And that's not great. That stinks. That's not good. Your results are going to vary. You might love this phone way more than I did. If you're a real Android user, I don't recommend it. For everyone else, send it. Get the phone. For people who love Android, who've been using Android, it's hard to recommend. But, make your own decision. This is your own money. Spend your own money. I'm not going to spend my money on this. I don't think it's worth. Prove me wrong. Go for it. Maybe this phone is worth it, and I just couldn't get the hang of it. But I prefer my slightly more obscure Sony Android more than I did current flagship from the biggest Android company that has, reach in the world. So, I don't know. I'm out of here. New stuff in the future to be actually excited for. Ubiquiti products. I might actually test out and fully switch to iPhone for a whole month, which will be terrible, but it'll be the first time in over 8 years that I've actually even owned an iPhone. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification. We got good videos coming in the future. Talk shit in the comments. You can talk shit about me. Talk shit about each other. Talk shit about iPhone. Talk shit about Samsung. Screw these people. Engagement's important. People's views are important. I'll see you guys later.